Do you ever watch Top of the Pops a Friday night when you're at home?
Top of the Pops didn't it end 20 years
No,
ago?
no, but they're repeating them all from the start.
Jimmy Savile?
No, they're not getting that far
Now
back.
look at me. No, what do you mean? He's in every episode.
Now then.
No, I'm talking about like the 90s ones.
Oh, okay.
The 90s Jimmy Saviles.
Yeah.
The 90s Saviles. No, I don't know who presents it back then. Tony Blackburn.
90s,
What, Top of the Pops?
Yeah.
Jay Middleman's.
Bad shout.
Yeah.
What's
I
her
used
face
to
with the
love
hair
Jane
like
Middleman.
this? Oh, yeah. Jane Middleman. She was from Newcastle, wasn't she?
She was from Jamaica.
She was Jamaican. She's from Newcastle.
She was according to your accent.
Newcastle. That's how they talk out there.
Fucking the Dane is on main, mate.
There you go.
Fucking the Dane is on main. Come on.
Okay, right. Maybe we should start this episode. Hello, you are listening to Off Radar, It's a Movie Podcast. I'm James Smith, a professional film and video editor.
I'm James Eatock, a freelance writer and illustrator specialising in 1980s cartoons.
And I'm Neil Brock, aka Nige, the man with two names, former film journalist and currently working in the games industry.
Each week, one of us picks a movie that all three of us either haven't seen in many years or in some cases haven't seen at all.
We each watch the chosen movie, return to the microphone and let you all know exactly what we thought of it.
I'd never really had any interest in watching it and I was proved absolutely right.
I think it's amazing. I really, really love this film.
The film's still a pile of steaming dog shit.
If you fancy joining in and suggesting a movie for us to watch, why not tweet us at Off Radar Podcast
or email us on offradarpod@gmail.com.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, and by all means, leave a review.
For now, strap in, turn the volume up, and let's go Off Radar. Hello, welcome back to Off Radar. I am James Smith. And as always, in person, I'm joined by James Eatock.
Hello.
Neil Brock.
Dodge Nige.
He just put a word in front of his name. That's not...
Yeah.
It kind of works.
Or when Saturday comes, when Nige... No.
When Nige comes. Oh, God.
And you need to say it. I don't know.
No.
Let's move on.
Any more? Nige?
Let's not.
No.
Nige, Muppets, Carol. What?
Again, you're just saying words. Stop it.
This is going to be a good one.
Okay.
I think it is. And the reason we're so giggly is because we're sitting in the same room. I've got a whiskey. Eatock's got a strawberry cider.
Or what's that little Daffy Duck you did?
It's a little quack.
So if you play that back, Eatock's got a little...
I don't know. I don't think I could ever do that again.
No, you
Tails.
Woo. Yeah.
And Nigel's got a whiskey and
Caffeinated free Coca-Cola.
decaf Coke. And we have just sat and watched Dodgeball, a true underdog story, together, which came out in 2004, a film that I have recommended that we watch in person for this very podcast. I guess the starting point, before we watched it today, had we seen this film before? Nige, seen this one before?
I had, a very long time ago. I feel like, it's one of those films that's like on ITV4 quite a lot, but probably not that much recently, maybe like 10 years ago.
Definitely an ITV4 film.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But yeah, I hadn't seen it in ages and was, I'd say, quite excited to watch it again, see how well it's aged or how badly potentially it's aged.
You've seen this one?
I may have borrowed a DVD from you, Smith, shortly after the movie was released upon said digital release. I went, that's the same word a few times. But yeah, in short, Smith lent me the DVD and I watched it the very same night. And I won't say what I thought about the movie, but yeah, I hadn't seen it since. So I was very much like Nige, looking forward to seeing it again. I've probably seen the odd clip here and there, especially like probably my favourite scene in the film, which we'll get to. But yeah, very much looking forward to watching
When you
this.
borrowed that DVD, did you find it versatile?
It was a versatile disc. I mean, it had an extra that I'm sure Nige will talk about at some point.
Nice.
A very specific extra.
No.
We'll get there.
Let's look forward to this.
I can't wait.
Get there.
Yeah, that's all right. I saw this film at the cinema, I think. And
So at the cinema?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
2004. Yeah, I did.
By yourself or with other people?
I think I'm not sure. I can't remember if I saw it by myself or with
Definitely by
him.
himself.
Probably by myself. And yeah.
I remember seeing the poster because it had that early 2000s typical poster of red text, white background.
Oh,
characters.
American Pie, here we go.
American Pie.
Yeah,
Road
American
Trip,
Pie,
all these films,
Yeah.
even like Alien versus Predator had like two heads looking at one
Yeah.
another on a white background, like a romance.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I thought it was like a sort of greeny.
No, it
black
looks like a sexy
background.
film.
Okay.
I went in to see, I was like,
I think maybe it was just calling out to you.
Aliens loves Predator. That's what it is.
I think even
Joni loves Chachi.
Wedding Crashers.
Wedding
Maybe that was
Crashers,
a year
yeah.
later. That had
No,
like a big red.
Wedding Crashers
like,
came out in, I'm sure that came out in
No, but
04
it's
as
had
well.
the white and red.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, the white and red kind of thing as well.
branding.
But
Because the late 90s, early 2000s was all about the Gone in 60 Seconds, orange,
yeah,
the dusk poster, where every poster had that orange hue across it. Bloody orange hue.
yeah. But I remember seeing this at the cinema and, well, at the time, thoroughly enjoying it, and obviously bought it on DVD. Forced it upon Etok, and I watched it a lot of times.
One of many things he forced upon
I think over those years, but I hadn't seen it in a long time either.
Where did you find your DVD, Smith?
Where did I find it?
Yeah.
Probably
For tonight.
HMV.
No, you found it recently when you were trying to dig it out of your dusty collection.
Oh, yeah.
Smith's dusty collection.
So all my DVDs now live in a huge folder because I've got rid of all the cases. And yeah, it was next to LA Confidential and Amelie. Yeah, so
you had
quite
not thought about in a very long... No, Etok, you hadn't thought about it in a
I hadn't
very
thought
long
about Emily since I probably saw it. That's maybe a film we should cover on the podcast.
Well, I'd actually really like to do Jean-Paul Jeunet as a director, because we've never done a foreign director.
It's true, yeah.
So it might be quite interesting.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, we'll come to that.
Well,
maybe.
we will
We'll
definitely come.
circumnavigate back to that.
We'll definitely come to that. But yeah, today, Dodgeball, written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber.
Who? Obviously.
Exactly, but he has done a couple of things you'll know. We're the Millers with Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, and had the kid in I can't remember the name of.
Oh, the kid from... what's his name?
He's in loads of stuff.
He's
He's
with
in,
the main guy.
he's with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Will Poulter.
Will Poulter.
Will
He's actually
Poulter.
English as well. He's
Yeah,
English.
Will Poulter's a brilliant actor.
He was. We first
And
saw
Jason
him when we were doing.
Sudeikis from bloody football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're forgetting all the programs.
And then
we're
he's
drunk.
also done. He's basically teamed up with The Rock loads of times. So he's written and directed films called
Skyscraper.
Central Intelligence, Skyscraper, Red Notice, all with The Rock in. Central Intelligence also has Kevin
Did
Hart in.
Easy A as well with
Easy A.
I saw that Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
He didn't direct that, I don't think, but
No, he was in it apparently.
Oh, he was in it. I was going to say he didn't direct or write it. So okay, fine.
Anyway,
but anyway,
he's done a bunch of stuff, but nothing.
Nothing
would say
you
that
will
memorable.
really, no real big hitters, I guess.
Except
and-
maybe this, depending what we think.
Well, we will see. And yeah, obviously starring top of the bill Ben Stiller, who I guess these days probably produces a lot more than he did when he was acting. Me and Nige were just talking about Severance just before he walked in the room. He produced that, and I think he did. Escape. I can't remember what it's called. Demonora.
Escape
really,
at Dannemora.
Yeah, a really good prison thing with Benicio del Toro. But anyway, I guess.
Well, he's very famous
Stiller,
anyway. It's Ben Stiller.
Yeah,
his
it's
dad
Ben
was
Stiller.
very
but
famous.
he's gone into obviously more producing now. But yeah, I mean.
At the time, he was very hot, shall we say.
Yeah.
After there's something about Mary, there's
tell you
Tropic
what,
Thunder, not that long ago.
Zoolander, Meet the Parents, all of those
He is in
things.
like one of the biggest films on the horizon, Happy Gilmore 2.
Is he in Happy
Is he
Gilmore too?
appearing
He's in the
again?
trailer.
I've not seen. I don't want to. I saw the teaser
don't.
trailer and it terrified me.
Well, whatever one I sent you the link of, going, guys, like...
He does appear in
he
that, doesn't
appears
he?
in that.
Every time you send me something on my phone, like it just blocks it automatically. It's like, yeah, 'cause it's like, what's this dangerous shit you sent me?
Dangerous. Yeah, I've sent you a virus.
Remember that clip you sent me? Oh, Jesus.
Oh, that was...
That
yeah.
dark one, Optimus Prime. I can't believe it.
I can't believe
How can
it's
he
not
bend in
that
that way? I know he can transform, but good God.
But yeah, Ben Stiller. And Vince Vaughn.
Go
who-
Daddy-O!
Yeah, well, like we say, like Swingers was obviously his big break, but then I guess he had like a decade of
Very
like
much
those
decade.
sort of
The
films,
Wedding
old
Crashers.
school,
Old school.
Wedding Crashers, The Breakup, and then obviously he went a little bit more serious when he started doing stuff like True Detective and that. But I would say this was almost like his prime around the kind of noughties,
the mid-2000s, yeah.
mid
It seems
noughties.
weird. Like both
but
him
I can't
and
think
Stiller
of
have
anything he's
kind
been
of-
in recently.
That's the thing. Like both him and Stiller have kind of gone off screen now.
Yeah.
Almost,
The
like
last-
you said, executive producers.
The
and stuff
last
like
film
that.
I saw Vince Vaughn in was it was a drama, like a serious film. It was a prison film, and he was like this unstoppable prisoner who was like
Oh, right.
on the rampage. It was crazy. I think he's like put in prison, and there's all these people out to kill him, and it's so violent, and it's Vince
Wow.
Vaughn, and he's like,
Wasn't he in the like Psycho remake as well?
Yeah, that was the shot.
That
for
was
shot.
ages. That was
Yeah,
like
that was the
almost one of his
90s.
first.
That was probably
like,
before
serious
all of
films.
this.
That was
Yeah.
1997.
Was that
or
Gus
something.
Van
Yes, Gus
Sant?
Gus
It
Van
was
Sant,
Gus
yeah.
Van Sant, yeah.
He was also in that Fighting with My Family, the film based on like the WWE wrestler or WWF wrestler, depending which way you look at it.
Oh, he was in that.
Paige, yeah, I think he
Paige, wow.
plays like her dad.
I didn't know he was
can't
in that.
remember, but he
Wow.
was in that.
Oh, okay.
anyway.
And then also Christine Taylor, who plays Kate in this film, is Ben Stiller's wife in real life, and they have 2 kids together, and they're still together. So this was obviously 20 years ago. This film, and then
Well, she was in Zoolander with him as well, which I didn't realise. And she's also in The
was
Wedding
she?
Singer. So again, kind of, it almost feels like there's this like little community of like comedians.
they all
and
cross over, don't
actors.
they?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Ron Burgundy, they all kind of come together
Yeah.
in like that fight scene. I think
Well,
Stiller and Vaughn come
They're
into
all
that.
everyone's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most importantly, she was also in.
She was Bonnie in Friends.
She was in Here Come the Monsters in
Most
1995.
importantly,
No, so like she was Bonnie in Friends, and Ben Stiller was the shouty guy in Friends.
No, I wasn't Thingy the shouty guy.
Ben Stiller
the guy
was
from Dazed and Confused. Was
No,
Ben Stiller definitely in
Ben
Friends?
no Ben Stiller was the ultimate.
He was the shouty guy.
No,
Oh
in
no,
Friends.
that
'Cause
was
that was the
Jon
guy from the
Favreau.
Avengers. Favreau, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
Ben Stiller was
Ben
like,
Stiller's like,
"You idiot!"
Yeah, he's like,
yeah. What are you
like the-
doing?
when the
The
little
one
duck-
with the screamer.
There you go, with the
Yeah.
the little duck craps
Yeah,
in his
of
hand. He's like,
course.
"You dumb Donald Dodo."
and only Ross sees it.
I thought it was like Joey's like psycho roommate, but that was the guy.
No,
from
that was
No, that was,
that was Saving Private Ryan. What's
yeah,
his name?
that guy.
Oh, I always forget his name.
Yeah, you killed my fish. Yeah, that. yeah.
I'll just get it for us.
He's getting this.
Yeah, Adam Goldberg.
Adam
Hannah
Goldberg.
Goldberg, yeah.
he's
Everyone
very
was in
good
Friends.
as well.
But anyway, she's in it. Justin Long, Rip
Who I love.
Torn.
I love Justin Long. Can I just give a
Yeah,
big
go
shout
on.
out to
Yeah,
Justin
yeah.
Long? Like I remember watching him in like a TV show years ago that was about a guy who owned a bowling alley.
Okay.
And he but also in Galaxy Quest was the film that the director of this and like Ben Stiller and all those guys saw him in Galaxy Quest and thought
Oh,
we've got to
wow.
have this guy. And the role was specifically written for Justin Long.
He's
Just
called
film.
Justin, isn't he? The character.
Is he? I can't
In this, I
remember.
thought he was
but
called Justin.
He does it absolutely perfect. And we were sort of saying earlier as we were watching this, he just gets absolutely annihilated in this film.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing him in Jeepers Creepers, but Ed was the TV show I was trying to think of that used to be one of those like classic Channel 4 early morning TV shows. Really, really good. Really, really enjoyable. Has the woman from like Happy Gilmore and Modern Family in.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Julie Bowen. So if you ever get a chance, check out Ed. Check out Ed.
Okay.
Justin Long, very good. But it was recently in Barbarian, which is also a very good
Yes.
film that I
That-
hope to do on this pod. Maybe as our Halloween special for this
Yeah,
year.
I've heard a lot of things about it, and I kind of know a lot of things about it.
Oh,
I know
that's a shame
Yeah, I
because I
know.
watched it not knowing anything about it.
No,
Likewise, yeah.
don't remind me. It's one of those where I remember, like,
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I think we should do it because it was, yeah. Okay.
I feel like Justin Long's the sort of guy you could hang out with and just be a really nice guy. So
He's
fingers
in,
crossed.
He was
that is
in.
the case.
He played a character in New Girl as well, which I really enjoyed.
Oh, I hate him now.
sorry.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah, and then also supporting him, Rip Torn.
Rip Torn.
Stephen Root, who you probably won't know the name, but
Won't know the
as
name,
soon as
yeah.
you
Yeah,
see
as soon
him,
as you see him, it's like,
it's,
"Hey,
oh, it's that guy from Office Space.
My stapler.
I said he was in. I said to Smith when you were out the room, I was like, he was in Get Out. He's like the ultimate like white guy villain in that film.
Oh God, yeah. Is he like the old guy
On the
who's-
TV, he was about to get the operation. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
the
Yeah,
Office
which
Space?
I could not remember, but yeah, Office Space is the one.
Yeah.
Did a lot of
because he
voices.
basically plays the same character in Office Space as he does in this. But
Well, yeah, he's obviously worked with Mike Judge a lot. He did like a lot of King of the
Yeah.
Hill voices as well.
Oh, right.
Apparently, he was also the voice of Cringer and Battlecat in Master of the Universe Revolution.
wow,
Was he really?
Apparently, so Etok. How do you not know
There you
that?
go. Because
So-
I've not watched any of that Kevin Smith garbage.
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 He's very
Yeah.
one thumbs up. For
one thumbs up, or two thumbs up. And there's some other people in it,
Well, there's
which
a
we
few
will
random
get to.
cameo. Yeah, we'll go into this.
But yeah, I've written a very brief synopsis
Better
of
not be
this
too
film.
brief, and it better end with an ellipses. Otherwise, I'm leaving.
Okay.
Go on.
And it better have a montage.
He's going to force
in
an
there.
ellipsis.
We want a montage.
I'm going to make... Oh,
Is that-
and that is the end.
was Tim Allen in this film? Tim Allen in this film? No.
Tim Allen.
Who's the guy next door? Wilson?
Okay. Peter LaFleur, Vince Vaughn, owns a small and honest gym called Average Joe's. Over the road, White Goodman, Ben Stiller, owns Globo Gym and attempts to purchase Peter's business and property. LaFleur has 30 days to raise $50,000 to save his business. After a failed attempt at car washing to raise the funds, he assembles a misshapen group of misfits by entering into a dodgeball competition in Las Vegas. What could possibly go wrong?
1954, a simpler time.
Dodgeball is a sport of violence, exclusion, and degradation.
A more innocent time.
Make sure you pick the bigger, stronger kids for your team. That way, you can all gang up on the weaker ones. Oh, you're out for a dodgeball!
Today, there are those who are born to be champions.
Here at Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
And then, there are these guys.
Boom, 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 boom.
Do you know why I'm here?
Now, do you mean cosmically?
You have 30 days to pay off your mortgage or you lose your gym.
Who'd want to buy this place anyway? Okay, we can't just let Globo Gym take us over. If there was any way in the world we could raise $50,000, we could play dodgeball.
Line up, ladies! The name's Patches O'Houlihan. And I'm your new coach.
So yeah, Dodgeball. Where to begin?
Yeah, what are the 5 Ds of dodgeball?
Well, dodge, dip, dive, duck, and dodge.
Oh, you nailed
I think
it.
you did
The
it.
the 5 Ds of dodgeball. We
Yeah.
start off with we're introduced to Average Joe's, I guess, and Vince Vaughn, who in this time is playing pretty much a Vince Vaughn character, a very quick talking, nice guy that you can identify with, that's charming and. Well, you stop putting your finger up.
laid
You're
back,
putting me off.
and he loves raising his
You
hand
said
to
we're
make a point.
like it starts off. We're introduced to Globo Gym first.
That's true.
Oh, okay. But if you're getting technical, but yeah.
No. Technical is just like, but if you're going to talk about Globo Gym, like that's literally the villain of the film.
Yeah.
I thought you want to start off with that.
Go on then.
No, go for it. Go.
Smith, you're doing it wrong. Now do it right. Go.
Yeah. Globo Gym.
If you like purple and you like muscular men and muscular women,
Basically, he said, "We're better than you, and we know it."
Yeah, there you go. No, go on.
No, well, Globo Gym. Yeah, you're right. We see the arses and the Ben Stiller with
straight into an
with his
arse.
70s look and quite an 80s feel to the gym. Like it all feels very retro. But yeah, it's the kind of. It looks like a corporation of of that sort of thing.
filled with misogyny, filled with
everything that's wrong with the world,
yeah,
basically.
essentially.
Whereas Average Joe's is is
toxic
not.
masculinity.
There we go.
Big word.
Got it.
And,
Is
and
that one of the
and-
pieces of equipment they use?
It probably is. Michelle probably does that. But yeah, but whereas Average Joe's represents the normal working man, and we get that through all the different characters that come together, and you know they're all odd and they're all misfits, like I say.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely know about those normal working pirates that I see day in, day out.
normal in an exaggerated sense.
Slightly unusual, normal people.
Yeah.
But when you kind of meet Vince Vaughn in his like classic 2000s, like little bungalowy type house, gets in his like rundown car, you think, where's this bum going? And it turns out he owns a gym, but he doesn't really care that much about running the gym. He just likes the people. He sort of G's everyone up. He has
he's
good words
charming.
to say for everyone. Yeah,
He's
he
so
absolutely
charming.
is. And he's
I
quite
feel
laid
like-
back and he's quite chill.
I feel like at this time, it felt like every script that Vaughn was doing was almost like written for him. You know what I mean? It's like that quick fire.
Oh, this definitely
It's
was.
like, and like this sort of thing, old school Wedding Crashers. It's like, it's almost like that same character
This cast,
interchanged between
Vince
the
Vaughn.
three.
I would say with this film though, because he's against quite a large comedy ensemble, as Smith would say.
Ensemble.
Ensemble. You've got the, he's opposite Ben Stiller, and a lot of the time, if you look at I wrote it down. Like, you look at Vince Vaughn in this film, he's kind of playing the straight man to a degree. He has those, and that's his comedy. A lot of the time throughout the film comes from his like looks aside after someone says something ridiculous, especially Ben Stiller. When Ben Stiller says something, he doesn't really answer back. Yeah. And if he does, it's almost like trying to work out this riddle of confusion that Ben Stiller's come up with. So yeah, I really like how he plays it, because if they'd written it another way, he could have been just going back and forward and it wouldn't have felt as good. Him playing the straight man really works to make Ben Stiller funnier, and then that kind of white Goodman character.
Yeah, just that kind of, what the hell's kind of going on?
Yeah, it's like, everyone's mad. The world around him is mad, and like Vince Vaughn is the kind of only character.
You're right. He is the straightest, apart from Kate, obviously the love interest.
She is, and then suddenly you get a peek behind her door, and it's like, oh, it's the unicorn door. Which is a little bit mad in itself. But
I guess everybody in this film has their own quirks, right? So it's that kind of look at people not being uniformed to just being normal.
Ironically, they have to wear uniforms later in the film.
Very good. Very good. Done that, and they're very sexy uniforms.
But you're right. Everything around this film, with Ben Stiller like playing that role, like every other character kind of feeds off him in this film. And
oh my God!
He is the kind of almost like the heart.
He's the nuts and bolts, isn't he?
And he's like. But it's almost like someone's injected some kind of crazy drug into his heart, because he is bananas and he's all over the place. He doesn't really know what he's saying a lot of the time.
Which makes her the deadliest woman on Earth with a dodgeball. Ball me, Blazer. Show them, Fran. And that's just her change-up. End of demo. We are the Globo Gym Purple Cobras. And we will rock you.
I feel like I'm slightly jumping ahead by saying this, but one thing, like towards the end, I just thought, what makes him, Ben Stiller, so good in this role is that he's not just doing the usual like funny comedy or expressions. He's so physical in this film. Oh, yeah. Like even when he's on the dodgeball, I know we're jumping ahead here, but when he's in the final, like on the dodgeball competition, he's like the way he's running about and stuff, and like when
it's very exaggerated.
Very exaggerated. Well, like a cartoon character, and I don't know, when you look at the cast around him, I don't know how tall is Ben Stiller.
He seems very small, doesn't he?
Because he's again, Vince Vaughn is like 6'4" or something. Vince Vaughn is tall.
Well, and that Michelle guy is, and like he's like 6'7" or something.
Missy Pyle is also tall. Go on.
He's 5'6".
Oh, so he's not super tall.
Yeah, he's like my height-ish.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
But those of you who can't you're right. They deliberately place him next to people that are a lot smaller.
And again, on the dodgeball field, he looks hilarious because he's like there, and there's all these like. It's the character he's creating. He's like, yeah, I'm only powerful when I'm surrounded by all these warriors. Yeah. In fairness, though, he is in himself. For all his bravado, he is really good at dodgeball.
Yeah, and he's ripped as well. Yeah, for someone selling Globo Gym, he's not like some little weedling or anything like that. He's got ridiculous hair, yes, but he's ripped, and he's clearly worked out for this film. And Vince Vaughn was 6'5" as well.
6'5", okay.
So,
wow.
Jumping back into the plot, one of my favourite, like, I think it's one of those gags that may go over, I think we all caught it, but go over quite a few people's heads watching it. So we find out very early on that, Kate the lawyer turns up and tells Vince Vaughn he needs to get $50,000 by the end of the month in order to keep his gym going, because otherwise,
Globo Gym will take his gym.
He doesn't know that. Does he know that at that point? When does he find out? Because like the next, oh no, she does mention it, and the next scene is him going to Globo Gym, and then as they're walking around Globo Gym, White Goodman, Ben Stiller's character, just goes, he basically gives this wicked little exposition thing.
Yes.
He goes, I know why you're here. And he basically runs down the plot of the movie.
Yeah, in like 30 seconds.
It's great. He's like, I know you're here because, you have 30 days to pay $50,000. Otherwise, I take
For
over
anyone that wasn't paying attention.
But it's like a great little
This is what the film's about. If you weren't paying attention.
It just shows his character as well. It's just like, even though they both know why they're there, he still has to give this little bit of exposition. So it works on like an informative level, but also it's like really funny.
Yeah, and it's just the sort of thing his character you could imagine doing.
There's not one scene in this film where he isn't doing something that just feels ad-libbed as well.
Yeah, I wonder if it was ad-lib, because there's moments in it with the back and forth, and you think, it feels like there's one extra there from Ben Stiller, and he's the kind of actor that would definitely do that sort of thing.
You should quit now and save yourself the embarrassment of losing with these losers in Las Vegas, LaFleur.
Alliteration aside, I think I'll take my chances in the tournament.
Yeah, you will take your chances.
I know. I just said that.
I know you just said that.
Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Well, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
That's what I just said.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
All right.
Touché.
But even right at the beginning as well, like some of those little looks to the camera, just incredible. Like the little head turns and then the cut. It feels like a lazy cut almost.
That's the thing.
Because it's like, hello.
There's one scene like where you suddenly see Vince Vaughn. It feels like he's just come off of breaking.
Yeah.
And just like there's little bits like that where you think there's no way they could have filmed this film without like corpsing all over the place and just being like hilarious stuff going on. But I've not read anything. I've not seen any like trivia that says a lot of it was ad-lib. For all we know, it was the guy who wrote it. That maybe they nailed the lines exactly as they were written. I'd be very surprised, but I don't know for certain.
But either way, even if it's not, then it's played so well that it feels like it is. It feels so authentic from that character and Ben Stiller. I mean, Ben Stiller's a great comic actor. We briefly
I kind of forget.
And a serious.
I remember
actor,
seeing like Greenberg with him in it, and he does such a brilliant job of just being like this quite damaged, interesting character. And then like we've talked about Royal Tenenbaum's Wes Anderson film before. That's one of my favourite films. Like he's absolutely outstanding in that. And there's a bunch of other stuff he's done. Like he, as we said at the start, there's a lot. He's kind of disappeared from acting more recently, or certainly not been as proficient or in as many high-profile films. But there was a period where Ben Stiller was massive. Like there's something about Mary. Like go back and watch that. For
my
God's
goodness.
sake. He was huge, and he did like Along Came Polly and all these like kind of random.
I saw so many of his films at the cinema when I think about it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He was a massive box office draw. But
Meet the Parents with
those films were huge.
And they kind of went on a bit too long. But this film, they kind of shipped the script around quite a lot to all the different studios, and it was only when Ben Stiller dropped like his own personal fee under $1 million that finally someone said, you know what, we're going to take a risk, we're going to do this film. I think it made like 130 mil or something, something ridiculous.
What was the budget? Probably quite small, I guess. It's for this.
It cost 20 mil, made almost 170, and like he was a small part of that in the sense of like at that stage of his career, he could have asked for a lot more money, but he believed in the story. He thought it was something that could be funny. And
he makes or breaks this film as well, right? If you've got someone in this that is not Ben Stiller, then the film could be really naff.
Well, I mean, again, going back to like I said, the way Vince Vaughn plays his role, you could imagine if they'd gone like when casting. I mean, obviously when they wrote the role, they knew that they wanted a straight man against Ben Stiller. But if they'd kind of gone down the full-out comedy route, you think they could have gone like, oh, why don't we get like Adam Sandler being funny against Ben Stiller being funny? And then it becomes like almost, I would say, almost unbearable in a way. Not that I've got any problems with Adam Sandler. Well, I mean, back in the day, not. But I mean, now, bloody hell. Except when he does a serious role or two. But yeah, it's
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, Uncut Gems. There you go. That's the
Punch
film.
Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love. They're about the only two, I think. But yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah. Quite early on, they try and obviously raise some money, and it's a really obvious scene, but it's a good scene.
Oh, you know the jokes.
The car wash scene.
It's quite noise. Like the first scene of the film, we were saying earlier, like women's butts in the gym, and then we have the car wash scene, and like
it's like bikinis and butts,
gratuitous.
But then we get the pan across, and we see all those guys that are fat or skinny or not. Basically like everyone else, and they're called average Joes, but they're probably less than average Joes, really. And I guess that's the kind of point of it.
But Justin Long's having a nice time washing the rims of a car.
Justin Long plays
a redneck's car.
Plays a. I don't know how old he's meant to be in this film, but he feels like he's meant to be quite young.
Yeah, he's a high schooler.
Yeah, so he's like a cheerleading boy, so I don't know, 17, 18 maybe. But yeah, he's excellent in this film as well, because this kind of dipstick stroke.
Good choice.
Yeah.
It's a very physical role, isn't it?
But also, the funny thing about his character is like whenever he's on screen, it's whoever did the makeup does a great job. He just looks constantly wet and sweaty.
Very sweaty.
Greasy. It's like really kind of. gooey. It's like, ugh. Like even when she, towards the end of the film, when he does the actual cheerleading routine, when she hugs him, he just looks really kind of wet and sweaty. It's just like, ugh.
Perspirated.
And he's like perspirated, and he's got all his hair kind of
it's true.
gelled down, but it's gelled down, but it's made to look like it's just wet. So and obviously he takes a brunt of the dodgeballs, which we'll obviously get to.
Yeah, like physical comedy. Like it's almost like Charlie Chaplin. It's not, but it's not that far away from it.
It's not. It's almost spoofish, isn't it? In general, I guess in this film, like we get into that kind of spoofness when obviously we start to do this training with the dodgeball and Rip Torn comes in and
Patches O'Houlihan.
I mean, some of my favourite scenes are these training
some
scenes.
like us as big Rocky fans that we love a montage of training.
But it's but it's obviously taking the piss out of like all of that. You know, if you could dodge a wrench and then chucking the wrench.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What?
The traffic scene, like with Milton. I can't help but call him
Milton from Off in Space.
I can't remember his name in this film, but anyway, that guy,
Gordon,
is
who's got his
almost the
mail
same
order
syllables.
bride and his children with their glasses on and everything.
But
else.
you could dodge traffic, and then you know what's coming. I mean, it's so silly, and I can appreciate that some people will not find this humour funny at all, but
it could conceivably be called dated humour, but
I guess so.
But I think we found it funny at the time, and we went back and watched it tonight, and
we were laughing.
I think we enjoyed it.
I was going to say, like, I just want to. This is a bit of a side thing, but it's exactly jumping onto what Nige said. I was thinking on the way here. We all sat there watching the film together. It's obvious that we enjoyed it. Spoiler. But when I on the way here, I thought, am I going to like this? I haven't seen this in probably 20.
We're in the world, years. PC world.
Yeah, but not just that. It's just a case of I went back recently and tried to watch. And Nige may go, but I tried to watch Flight of the Conchords, and I was just like. This is. I'm not.
Oh my god! Really?
I did not find it funny at all. I was just like, it's the same when I went back to watch The Mighty Boosh. I remember trying to watch that again.
I really want to try and watch that again, but it's been a very long time.
It's just
great.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's just like, to me, it's just like, this feels really kind of that moment.
Doesn't land.
And
now.
whilst Dodgeball, like as we've said, is very much kind of off the back of those American Pie movies. And in a few years, you don't really get these kind of movies anymore because of like Hollywood blockbusters just become the norm, really.
Yeah, there's not that many like comedies that aren't either like super gross out. Like there was like Euro Trip and Road Trip, and they were very easy to watch. They weren't trying to be that clever. They were just like. It's the sort of thing that, like, I don't know, teens and early
this is a bit of a
20s.
throwback, isn't it?
Oh, very much so.
Like 80s, 90s comedy.
I can't believe it's like 21 years ago since this film came out. And you think about, like, so we were all born in the 80s. If you think realistically, when we were, like, say, 16, it was like the mid-90s, sorry. We were born in the 80s and the late 70s. In, like, let's say the mid-90s, if you go back, like, 20-odd years in the mid-90s, you're talking about 70s films. And, like, how many 70s films were we that connected with? A lot of our stuff is like, Flight the Navigator, Back to the Future. I don't know why I said Flight the Navigator, but, like, those 80s kind of films. And I imagine someone, like, born today would go back and watch this and be like, what the fuck is this kind of thing? And it's, like, it feels very strange thinking about it.
I know what you're saying,
over 20 years old.
Yeah, but something about it.
But you're right. Like this sort of film doesn't really get made anymore, does it? Like, I mean, they tried to carry on this thing, but like like Vince Vaughn intern, like this sort of thing carried on. But yeah, I don't know if it was obviously just the script or maybe this thing had just been done and we'd had enough.
I feel like it was. I feel like it was the latter. I think there was such an influx of those movies in the late 90s, early noughties that, you know, after what I remember doing a film on DVD called Sex Drive.
Okay,
and that
sounds familiar.
That was like one of the last ones where it's like a road trip and it's one guy trying to
Amish people. It's got Seth Green in it.
Seth Green, I remember just thinking like, oh, this is going to be going somewhere, and the film really kind of didn't strike any kind of chord.
But that film had like James Marsden in, who's like the ultimate dick brother as well.
Yeah, that's
James
true.
Marsden's great, but but there was that like influx of those films. But
like that sort of thing has Yeah, I guess they don't get made. Or if they do get made, maybe we're just tired of it. And they're not very good. The scripts are not very good.
They're all like very meta comedies now, aren't they? It's just like, we can't just be funny. We either have to be like overly controversial or very like, everyone's in on the joke, it's fine.
Or even like as some comedians unfortunately have said, like, comedy should always have a message. It's like, no, it can just be funny sometimes.
Yeah, it can just be stupid
which is
and gross
what this
or whatever.
film is kind of unapologetically doing, isn't it? It's
Or
just everything it's doing is not PR. Like there are some things that are quite outdated.
If one phrase, my favourite phrase in a movie of all time possibly sums up this movie, it's like watching a bunch of retards trying to fuck a doorknob. It's fucking great quote. It's completely wrong, but it's fucking hilarious. And it's Rip Torn delivering it with such gusto. And I'm like, you're the fucking man.
That actually comes from a 1980 US Olympic hockey coach, Herb Brooks, who said to his team, it's like watching a monkey trying to hump a football. And they took that quote and just, obviously changed
took it to another thing.
Did you know you can now subscribe to Off Radar It's a Movie podcast on YouTube? You can watch exclusive trailers and listen to brand new full episodes. All links and info in the description down below.
Somebody stop me!
With something like Dodgeball and the gags specific to this movie, I think you go like, oh, that's not right, but I don't know. It wasn't done maliciously? Do I sound like I'm just making excuses? But I think you just said
You're along for the ride.
You take it for its time, and you know that this film isn't out to. And like Ben Stiller's character could be offensive in so many ways, but you look at it for what it is. It's like any good comedy will always use that person to be a racist, a homophobe, whatever, because it's showing them up, and that's the comedy. It's like this guy's
trying to insult anyone else.
Yeah.
Well, even with the misogyny in it right at the start. You've got Vince Vaughn, who's basically like who you side with right from the start, but he is actually being really like
a bit
like sly with Kate, whatever her name
Christine
is in the film.
Taylor.
And but to be fair, like what is done well about this film is that her character in this film is actually really strong.
Yeah, agreed.
She says immediately like, I specialise in sexual harassment kind of thing. It's like, whoa.
But not only that, she becomes basically the best player on that team at Dodgeball.
Yeah.
So that, like it kind of wipes out that kind of prejudice that she's just like this pretty blonde lawyer who's gonna like sign a check. She becomes like this. So although
She's
it
crucial,
kind of plays to that, it kind of it lends itself to that kind of development of that kind of sub-story.
Well, likewise, the best player on the Purple Pythons, or whatever the hell they're called, the team for Globo Gym, is Missy Pyle, who's Fran, who's got the ultimate like monobrow, dodgy teeth. She's like the greatest dodgeball player from the world.
She's great.
They kind of get her in, and she's brilliant. I wouldn't say this film's like written necessarily for women to particularly enjoy, but it certainly doesn't like just you. But at some points, I suppose it uses them as like, as we mentioned, the arse at the beginning, where you go straight into the gym. There's like the cheerleaders of,
but it's making fun of it.
It's of the time, but it's making fun of it.
It's making fun of like the toxic masculinity of Globo Gym, which is like he's not only just showing arses, just
ESPN,
like blokes with like all their
you're right.
Exactly.
It's like Michelle is like this overblown, like what a great character he is, right?
Great.
He probably has about 5 lines in the film,
but it's his presence.
But he's a massive big bloke right next to Ben Stiller, and he's like got a really deep voice, and Ben Stiller's like,
but does stinky shits apparently, as we find out later in the film as well.
But he actually plays it like the role.
He's the
not sure
straightest
the
guy in this film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He plays it so straight. He doesn't like really break
Duff.
any character at all in it. He's so straight, but kind of terrifying in that role, but really good, because then obviously played against the one with the eyebrows, and then the different characters they get are so over the top, like you said, like cartoonish.
The two lasers, don't forget. On
the laser and Blazer.
It's
silly on paper.
But
if a studio looks at this, they must be thinking, "What is this garbage?"
Right?
I remember just that scene is another one of the pieces of the movie that I can watch over and over again, because the way it's directed as well. He goes, "Allow me to introduce my team," and the way it first begins is he's breaking the 4/4. He's talking to the audience, and he's like, "Blade, laser." Blazer. And it's that pause, and it's the delivery of like, okay, Blade and laser, very 1980s, very silly, and also
it's like American Gladiators.
Blazer.
Like, wait a minute.
But when it the
And then
first guy does it
Nige.
like the thingy from Top Gun, doesn't he? He even does that.
Iceman, yeah,
He
the
does
little
that.
teeth
He
thing.
does the little teeth thing as well. That's
Val
crazy.
Kilmer style, yeah.
There's probably a lot more influences in it. I mean, obviously, Rocky is like even with the music, like later on, like you can see those.
It
like,
feels
the
very
Rocky,
fanfare-ish,
yeah, the
yeah.
fanfare-y Rocky
Yeah.
undertones.
Well, I
And
was
I know
gonna
we get the kind of, you know, the slow mo dodgeball to the face.
Oh, God, that bit is Rocky
You know, that's
IV
Rocky.
all over,
But
yeah.
actually, yeah, the music in it, I forgot like how much of a like kind of nod to those sort of sports films in general. And I'm sure like American sports films, I'm probably not that familiar with, but it's probably, you know, like generally speaking, like I imagine like, you know, baseball and like even like those sort of films as well.
I was going to say, like, for the montages, I would say the music's quite forgettable. And for like the Rocky films, for instance, they're very memorable. Quite a lot of other 80s films around that era. And it's almost like you're so engrossed by what's happening on the screen, you don't necessarily listen for the music. And even, I was very surprised, but for the end credits, it's like pop punk from that, again, that kind of era. And it's very forgettable. Like, it serves a function, absolutely. But a lot of films, and I've said this a few times on this podcast, can like live or die based on the quality of the audio and the soundtrack. And like the Captain America, whatever it was, 1990s, 80s one, I thought was dreadful because of that. This film, you could almost, like, obviously you could go to an extreme and it'd be very bad, but it's almost like interchangeable. It doesn't make that much of a difference for me because I think it's so strong what is happening in the script, what is happening visually, what is happening in terms of the story that kind of drags you along with it. Like, you're invested in dodgeball, and I think that's the most ridiculous thing. It's a sport.
Ridiculous,
everyone's like, dodgeball, but I think by the end of the film, everyone's like, "God, I'd love to go and have a game of dodgeball."
It's true, actually. I like, despite all the silliness, you are totally invested as well in them winning, and I think that's quite clever because like you really want them to win, even though despite, you know, this is just a throwaway silly comedy film and actually it doesn't really matter. So when they have, obviously we're jumping ahead a little bit, but you know, they have the moment where Vince Vaughn's character, you know, goes to the bar and basically almost quits, and I'm like, fuck, he's not going to make it in time. I really want him to get there.
Yeah.
And it's like, but why?
I tell you what, it's basic writing, isn't it? They create great stakes, and they also create characters. As much as a bunch of misfits as they are, you do invest in them. Like, not all equally, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, as a kind of some of their parts, like the whole is you kind of go, oh, I want these guys to survive, because also Ben Stiller's character and his crew, obviously not Fran because she becomes so likable, but the rest of them are just like so villains, and also almost just, like so two-dimensional.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Blade, Laser, and Blazer. They are just like.
You've not seen the sequel? The Blaze.
Oh God!
Blaze, no.
Do you know, I bet somewhere.
They are talking about a sequel.
They've already. Vince Vaughn's involved.
Really?
It's like on a production level. 2023 it started. Apparently they're going to. Because I was going to say, like, when we were talking about comedies and the fact that, like, if you ask me, name a good comedy film from the last 10 years, I would really struggle. It's like things that have been reinvented, like the recent, like, say, Bridget Jones, whether or not you call that a comedy or not. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, it's quite good, but it basically these films are living on drawing people back in where there's already this kind of story and characters you're familiar with and jokes you can almost hark back to. Where is an original comedy that's recent?
Film? Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Yeah.
And I wish I could just say, actually, I know so much about film that there's this film, there's that film. I can't think of anything obvious that's just.
It might
is an out and out comedy,
but there's not like. Even if we're thinking like, what's one in the last 10 years? There might be one that we're forgetting. But the fact that we have to remember so specifically sums it up. Whereas in the late 90s, early noughties, you can remember like a wealth of comedies.
Yeah, and there are all these kind of films that probably get like 6.5 ratings on IMDb. Yeah. They're not like, oh, this is like the Animal House of our generation, or a film that's like an absolute Stonewall classic. Or even like Wayne's World of the 90s, potentially. Again, very much of its time. But yeah, where are those kind of films?
I watched one on a plane not long ago.
I wanted to walk out. Go on.
You're Cordially Invited with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, it was like a made for Sky Atlantic.
It felt like it belonged in the noughties, but was written really badly, and it just didn't work. Unfortunately, it was really not very good at all.
Well, I guess we won't be reviewing that film then.
Well, we will, because someone will want to punish us. So
I don't think
You watch 10 years from now.
I don't think I'll bother. But but you know that film. It's a really interesting one because Will Ferrell is obviously. I know he's obviously not in this film, but it's an example of that time though.
Yeah.
And you know, like he's obviously his career's changed a lot, and but. Even him, I can't think of many films that he does now that are, you know, what you're talking about, that sort of spitball comedy that were of the noughties. Like, it feels like that whole genre has kind of died.
When we get to the big tournament, the big dodgeball tournament,
the Karate Kid scoreboard.
Oh my god, Karate Kid scoreboard! I love that. But the all the teams, they're all like, we were laughing because they're all such stereotypes. And again, it's like, oh, maybe that's a bit too sensitive, but it just works because it's so bloody absurd. And
Which
so
ones?
funny.
There's like the German team managed by David Hasselhoff.
The stereotypes are ridiculous. It's like the Japanese team are all dressed in like sumo wrestling stuff.
Yeah, we had the hip hop team, which include the white guy.
Yeah,
the white guy looks like Louis Theroux doing the Running Man,
and they've got like kappa hats on and like the furriness.
Yeah.
The German team, like I said, the Japanese team. There's like a team of lumberjacks. I think I said at the time it's like the Warriors, where you have all those different gangs, and like the baseball team it's like that basically.
Two of our favourite characters at this point turn up, which is Midnight Caller, who was in Office Space. We forget his name, the actor.
I've completely forgotten.
And
you keep saying Midnight. Bloody Gary Cole, he's been in so much stuff. Like Gary Cole is the kind of, again, he's in Office Space. He plays the boss. Where he's like,
the boss.
I'm going to need you to work the weekend.
I'm going to have to ask you to come in on a Saturday.
And he's off opposite Jason Bateman.
He was in The Good Wife and like The Good Fight as well. But I really remember him from this like Channel 4 TV show from like the mid-90s that I'm desperate to find out what it's called because I cannot remember for the life of me.
Come on.
No, I'm going. He's done a lot. Gary Cole has done a lot.
He looks
of
quite different
stuff
now.
Over
Wow,
the
he was in Ricky Bobby.
He has got a great tash, to be honest.
He was in Telegate.
Was in Moonlighting.
Films?
American Gothic. There you go.
Oh wow, he was in that, was he?
Yeah, with Juliette. Was it Juliette Lewis or the person that looks like her a lot?
Hayden Turner.
Sarah Paulson was in that as well.
Oh, Sarah Paulson.
But anyway, Gary Cole is a fantastic actor, and he plays one of the commentators alongside Jason Bateman, who's probably better known for like Arrested Development and a lot of other stuff.
But Jason Bateman in this, his character is just so fucking.
He's like almost like not a rally driver, like a BMX rider. He's got the outfit. He's wearing like sunglasses. He's permanently stoned.
But
Jason Bateman.
He must be a former dodgeball player because he's got the dodgeball tattoo on his neck.
He's got like a flaming ball on his neck.
But he's just
and he
all
says
of his
the most
stuff.
like literal stuff.
I mean,
the
thing I've most recently seen him in is Ozark. And
which
obviously seeing him compared to that, it's like this fucking like knobhead who can barely speak. It's just unreal. I mean, we get a number of cameos. Obviously, we get with the German team a little bit before. We have about 10 seconds of Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
Talking German. I don't think he talks English once, does he, in the film?
No, well, it was because he was big in Germany. He brought down the Berlin Wall.
He brought down single-handedly. Him and Kit just drove through it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
He tried to do the jump and they got it a bit wrong and just went straight through it.
It's like, Kit, no, Michael, I can't make that wall.
And then,
Mr. Feeney, shut the fuck up. Bam!
Mr. Feeney. Nice reference.
And then we get William Shatner a little bit later.
Shatner.
We get Chuck Norris, who is about 3 seconds.
The big thumbs
That's
up.
all you need from Chuck Norris, though.
He says one line. I can't remember what it is now.
Well, I was reading something about this the other day. No, I wasn't actually. I was speaking to a couple of friends who I work with who are French, right? And they were talking about how all their action heroes are obviously dubbed in their own country.
Yeah.
So for them, Sylvester Stallone's voice sounds nothing like the real Sylvester Stallone's voice. And Chuck Norris, I don't know if you've seen many of the films where he's like a big star in, because to be honest, like everyone knows who Chuck Norris is, but can you name like one Chuck Norris film?
There's going to be a film, I bet it's called like Death Force.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah. But Chuck Norris is like really quite softly spoken, but all the people that like did like his French voice or his Spanish voice were all like, oh, I'm a tough action hero. And then when you hear Chuck Norris, he's like, I'm Chuck Norris. And it's like, oh my God, that's so weird. And again, I feel like they just lean on the power of Chuck Norris by him just doing a big thumbs up rather than being like,
he's become a parody. I mean, he's used in like
absolutely.
Family Guy and stuff like that all the time, isn't he? And that's basically what this film does with the cameos later on. It's like a little Family Guy montage. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the other ones.
Lance Armstrong is
one of our favourite, non-favourite cameos.
So
yeah,
this is
it's not dated well, has it?
No,
Sheryl Crow's ex is no longer renowned around the world.
Lance Armstrong, obviously at that time, was the greatest cyclist
poster boy
of all time.
What a superhero
of comebacks, of like overcoming adversity.
The fact that what ailed him is used as like such a funny joke. He's like, when I was diagnosed with having a brain tumor, testicular cancer, and something else,
lung cancer or whatever it was.
I nearly gave up, but then I didn't, and I won the Tour de France like five times. To which Nige went, bullshit.
Well, I don't think that counts anymore, young man. I think they've all been stripped away.
In subsequent years, Lance Armstrong was proved to be a bit of a cheat.
You gotta get angry.
I guess I'm not really an angry person.
Are you angry now?
20th Century Fox invites you
Welcome to this year's Las Vegas Dodgeball Open.
to experience the world of dodgeball
There's a souvenir for a lucky fan.
with the ultimate underdogs.
The real team needs real uniforms. I hope they fit.
Nice.
You guys suck!
Thank you. Nice to be in Vegas.
You should quit now.
I think I'll take my chances in the tournament.
Yeah, you will take your chances.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
All right.
Touche.
Vince Vaughn.
You dig me?
You do have brief moments where you're not completely...
When I'm not completely what?
Pathetic.
Ben Stiller.
We should meet.
What?
I said we should date.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Some of these final dodgeball scenes are incredible. So when we're going up the White Goodman's team, whatever,
The Purple Cobras.
Purple Cobras, the Average Joes, and
We're representing, by the way.
Yeah,
Like,
I've got
it's
a
a-
purple t-shirt.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what can I say?
Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah,
Is that?
Hudsucker, go Eagles.
It is
yeah.
as well.
The future is now.
One of Nige's favourite films. But yeah, the editing is actually really good, and you probably don't really notice it in this sort of film. But it's like, you know, the slow mo and the quick cuts and stuff, and it lends itself really well to a sports film.
Yeah.
But you kind of forget it a little bit because it is a comedy film. But it's done so well, so you get the slow mo and the sweat and the drool coming out of the face. The sound effects are over the top because they're like doing, like almost like a metal thing hitting you in the balls.
It's the old Dido ball, isn't it?
That has that sound anyway.
Yeah, so it's so over the top, but it works.
When I was a
obviously,
kid,
in
I remember
context
getting one of those in the fight. Well, numerous times. We were playing football at school, and you get they were called Dido balls, I think. Get them in the face. It was just that. It was just that. It kind of echoed throughout time. It's just like,
But I was going to say, like, sports films, like, obviously we watched the greatest sports film ever made, A Shot of Glory, and unfortunately the kind of action, the sports scenes don't work very well. In Dodgeball, they work exceptionally well. Now, whether or not, like, obviously some films lean themselves to cinema a lot better. We've talked about Rocky a bunch in this. Boxing films work very well.
Yeah.
Baseball films, I'd say, work very well, which we may discuss in a future podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot
We've
of
got Major League
films.
coming up.
Football does not, like soccer.
No.
Does not work very well at all.
is it because
Dodgeball works really well?
Is it because I'm going to use one of my favourite words? Boxing, dodgeball, those
physical.
kind of sports are very visceral.
Yeah,
Like
you
dodgeball
that
is
word.
like so fast kind of thing, and it's like those throughout every kind of dodgeball match, even like the ones that were played for comedy, I still felt myself getting really invested. Like when Milton's character Root, when he's the last one remaining and he gets all G'd up, I was just like, I was in that moment. I was like, yeah, he's going to fight. He's against like 5 purple cobras. And then he's like, and the commentator's my favourite line. He's like, he's calling him out. And he's like pointing, he's calling him out. And it's just like, just throwing it. And like Smith said, like the editing, when they're doing, and the rules are explained so clearly at the start. And even in the black and white movie, which we didn't mention, the black and white movie.
Azaria playing
with Hank Azaria
the young version of Rip Torn.
Patches. Yeah. We get that kind of early, you get like the foundation. Oh, this is how
this may become useful information as the film goes on.
And then, but like as so when the film happens, it's like, well, I know the rules of dodgeball. So when they're like catching the ball or pushing it away, it's like, and it's like, oh, they do the one where it's like they get 3 of them or 2 more back.
If you
on
catch
the
the ball, someone else comes on, and Gary Cole's very clear about they've done the old switcheroo.
Yeah, it's like that's a 3.
He kind of feeds it to you, and you're like, as an audience member who's never watched a dodgeball match, you feel like you know everything about dodgeball.
It's not done like, it's really funny. Like every everything is both funny and kind of you're in the moment of like, this is like really good action.
But even after this film was released, there was like a big uptake of people playing dodgeball around the US, and Gary Cole got invited to like this random tournament in Indiana and stuff like that. And like, you'd be our like special guest star and stuff like that.
Wow.
But like, let's be honest, the actors were actually having dodgeballs thrown at them.
Yeah.
And they said one of the hardest things about acting in this film was the fact like they were flinching before they knew they were about to get hit by the dodgeball, because obviously there's so many scenes where they knew they were going to get hit, but how can you not be like, oh? And I watched this thing recently, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of like UFC, like Ultimate Fighting type stuff, like MMA. There's a like branch off thing they've invested in. It's called like power slaps.
Okay.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so power slaps, for those who don't understand it, it's like two people who basically just stand face to face, and each one gets to go to just slap someone in the face. And there's a rule that's like, if you flinch before you get slapped, they get another slap. And it must have been like that for the actors, in the sense of like, if someone's launching a ball at you from like, I don't know, a few meters away, or even a few yards away, or however far away, like, you're going to be like, this is going to...
Well, because the other thing as well, it's like, watching this film for the first time in a long time, I thought to myself, oh, was there like use of CG balls and stuff? And then if there was no evidence of that.
Couldn't see that.
There's a scene like where
the only one is when she throws the ball down the underarm.
And it's like the softball throw.
Yeah, but they purposely do that because they have to do one shot where they guide it towards the camera that Ben Stiller's got spying on them, kind of thing. She goes...
Well, Ben Stiller actually broke 3 cameras in one scene by throwing the ball, and then he launched one right into his wife's face as well. So there was like quite a bit of bad stuff there. And then there's also the scene where they have the wrenches, where obviously like, oh, if you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball. And Justin Long was the first one who got nailed by it, and they launched this like rubber wrench at him, so much so it like cut open his eyeball, and he's like rolling on the floor like, oh my god, and like that was the scene when he
that's probably
nailed.
The scar what you're talking about.
Exactly. Well, there's a scar across his nose. We mentioned both he and his love interest have this random scar across their nose, but like he got nailed like multiple times in this film, and I feel like he hopefully got paid like a stunt double type bonus for this film, so.
I love as we get near the end, they basically lean into the Western genre where they do this final dodgeball.
Oh, the sudden
and it's
death.
just LaFleur v. Goodman, and obviously I don't really understand why.
Vince Vaughn's character.
Peter LaFleur blindfolds himself, obviously. But yeah, it's actually really well done because the dodgeball's like this kind of like silvery sort of thing, so it adds to the kind of drama of it because
it's very dramatic. The lighting as well.
Yeah,
they changed the lighting at the final.
I don't think that probably doesn't happen in dodgeball. I have no idea. My dodgeball.
No, normally they just throw a grenade at each other.
Yeah. But as in, like, you don't have a Western, because it's basically like a Western. They do it basically adds to the drama. But I like the fact that they use this kind of poetic license to add to that drama. And we have this Down Goes Goodman, which is
Down Goes Douglas.
Is a reference from Down Goes Fraser.
Fraser,
which is Ali Fraser, where he goes, Down Goes Fraser, Down Goes Fraser.
There's a few of those.
I was going to say, I mean, the one I heard is Down Goes Douglas, because it's Buster Douglas who...
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I think the first one was always Joe Fraser, when Ali knocked him down.
There's also the quote where he's like, do you believe in unlikelihoods, which is based on, do you believe in miracles, from like the US hockey team when they beat the Russians.
Right. Okay.
Oh, no, there is another one, actually. You're like, when White Goodman commits his foot foul and he goes like mad at the umpire, the American Gladiators guy, he's like, it's meant to be like Jimmy Connors in the 91 US Open. James Woods lost a bit of tennis. He's like, I'm out here at 39 years old working my butt off and you make a call like that? That was Jimmy Connors, and it's very similar to obviously what old Goodman says. So
yeah. I get fine.
But the film wraps up kind of... I'd say it takes a bit longer than I would have expected to wrap up. There's like...
What do you mean the pirate gets his booty?
Well, let's talk about that, because the weird part about this...
Steve the Pirate.
Steve the
we
Pirate.
haven't mentioned Steve the Pirate.
No.
He's like...
played by the guy from Firefly.
Alan Tudyk? Or I don't know.
Tudyk.
He's very good actor.
I don't think I've seen him in anything
very good actor
before.
in other things.
Oh, no, he's brilliant in Firefly.
I was telling Smith, I don't know if you got to see it, if I watched it with you. Watched it at Sony, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, yeah, you gave it to me on a copy of it on DVD.
Yeah, I gave it to
very, very good film.
It's a great film, yeah. It was really, really fun. But yeah, his character arc is really odd.
He was in Rogue One as like the voice of
that's right.
K2SO.
Really?
He was also in A Knight's Tale with our lovable
Someone's got
Aussie.
IMDb open.
Does he always play a pirate in these films?
But no, the funniest
He
thing
was in
about his
Pirates of the
characters...
Caribbean.
Pirates,
No, he wasn't.
ironically, he wasn't. But the funniest thing about his characters...
He was in Transformers Earthspark.
Oh, good glory to him. But yeah, the weird thing about his character arc is he's not present for like...
No,
He leaves to the big
He's in it
finish.
about... Yeah, he's not in it a lot.
He has very
basically.
few lines. Most of them are "arr."
But then, like Vince Vaughn, when Vince Vaughn is coming down, like
He takes it out on Steve.
He
the
just
Pirate.
goes. He goes.
He's like, you're not a pirate.
He just goes. You're not a pirate, and that's enough for Steve the Pirate to go. Well, I can't be. And then we get shots of Steve the Pirate walking down the street.
It's like milkshake.
Milkshake. Go back to
Milkshake's a common
Treasure
thing in
Island.
this film as
yeah,
well. Yeah, go
yeah,
back to Treasure Island. Yeah.
Go back to Treasure Island, and then the next time we see Steve the Pirate is after they've won, and we learn that Vince Vaughn gambled his $50,000 winnings.
$100,000 payoff to actually.
Sorry, it's correct. Yeah, $100,000 payoff on them to win, and they win $5 million.
Yeah, and then he can buy out Globo Gym and save the day.
And it's a very
which descends White Goodman into
but it's not
eating
just,
again.
But it's like it's a weird ending in the sense of it just feels. It almost feels like it could have been done with a freeze frame, almost like a Rocky parody. but we get like, oh, the Kate is. She starts kissing a woman, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm bisexual." And then
Because they like indicate throughout the film, like, "Oh, she's a lesbian, right?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, "No."
Yeah, that.
And then she's like, "No, I'm
But that
bisexual."
final,
It's true, yeah,
that
yeah,
final
yeah.
scene is always just a bit like, kind of thing.
Well, it wasn't the original final scene.
Oh, we know what the final ending was.
What was the original final ending?
The
then,
final
Trivia Boy?
ending was this. This is why I thought I was watching the wrong version for a second. White Goodman throws the dodgeball. Vince Vaughn gets struck, and the credits roll, and it's like the good guys lose.
The good guys lose. That was the
That's on
original
your
ending to
DVD.
this film.
It's every time I think of this film, I always think of like that's a crazy ending, and that's almost,
And that's why in the credits.
Yep.
So we watched the
They must have done a
post-credit
test
scene.
screening.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
a test screening
There we
where
go.
the audience hated the fact that Average Joe's lost, and that was the end of the film, and that was it. And they were like, "This is the best twist."
Exactly. Why would you want that though?
But no,
Like, out of
Because
this
why
film?
not? Because
Why
it's
not?
like every Hollywood film, the good guys win. It's like, this is a film where they
that,
lose.
but this
And
film is
because you
silly.
love to hate like Ben Stiller's character, and it's like he wins, and it's like that never happens.
Because I remember,
why
like,
not let
on
it
the-
happen?
on the-
I get it, but they're
and
just
he's
doing
like,
it.
"Oh, you want your Hollywood ending?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can get your milkshake."
Yeah, I get that, but for me, like in this sort of film,
James was in that test audience.
No, I
don't like this.
No, for me, I want Average Joe's to win. Like,
No, well, that's the thing. That means the film did its job of investing you and us
Exactly.
into like
Yeah.
the characters. But it is that thing of when I remember, like when I borrowed the DVD and it said like alternate ending, and I was like, oh, what's this? And it's so shocking though because it's so sudden. He like gets hit with the ball and he's kind of like,
we win,
and they just all start cheering, and that's where like the film just kind of fades to black and the credits roll, and you're like, oh my god, that's what they originally
It's
did.
like the Wayne's World ending, like the
Oh, yeah.
they have like the super happy
The
ending,
three
they have the
endings.
Scooby Doo ending,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have the Wayne
But I
sucks
think
ending.
like in kind of I totally understand. I'm with Smith. I love the happy ending.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of your point of view. I totally get is because imagine this film. I think for the wrong reasons almost would have had a stronger legacy. And people are like, do you remember that film Dodgeball where the baddies win?
it
How
wouldn't have
often-
made anywhere near as much money.
No,
though,
but how often
which is
does that happen? Like.
I think maybe it's the wrong film for it though. Like if
Maybe.
that's like Rocky, where it
I suppose
draws
Rocky,
at the
yeah.
end or loses at the end, I think it works, doesn't it? But,
Yeah.
But in a comedy, light-hearted film, you just want the goodies.
Yeah,
to win.
but that's what makes it funny. But I get it. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
don't get
I
me
know
wrong,
it
I
might
look at
be
the ending
funny.
as it
Imagine the
is.
test audience would have like.
What the fuck
would have
is
been
that?
like,
I mean, I need to watch the alternate ending on the thing.
But it's like, what was it? Pretty in Pink, or one of those films in the John
Yeah.
Hughes era when she ends up she goes with Ducky, and the test audience was like, no, she's supposed to go with like the attractive Andrew McCarthy character or whoever it was. So they reshot it, and it happens so frequently that if you don't get it perfect, they just don't buy it.
Yeah.
And I get it, but yeah, that is. And then obviously for the substance, they were like, yeah, this is a great ending. This is what we
This is
want.
great, and you've hopefully listened to that episode. Nige, talking of endings, give us a happy ending. Give us some trivia.
Nigel's working on my happy ending.
Apparently, this is one of I don't know if I believe this bit of trivia.
Go on.
But according to Rotten Tomatoes, that very famous
Tomatoes,
internet
as we say in
website,
England.
I know, it's apparently one of Dame Helen Mirren's favourite films.
Really?
Okay.
I don't know if I believe that, but anyway, it was on there. I mentioned obviously Al Kaplan, who we should mention by name, was the tournament referee, was the referee for American Gladiators. Yeah. So always nice to see in the English version, as we said, it's John Anderson. During the filming of this film, Ben Stiller and Christine Taylor, that we mentioned, a real life couple married, she had an 18-month-old baby at the time. So between takes, she was exhausted because she was there looking after the little baba. So yeah, there you go. A lot of this film is it kind of mocks the idea that ESPN has like a Channel 8.
Oh yeah.
So which they call the Occo. They actually, in August 2017, in tribute to this film, they named one of their channels the Occo and actually showed like random sporting events.
I was in America when I remember seeing that. I was flicking channels. I was like, why the fuck have they got an Occo?
No way.
So yeah.
There you go. The unrated DVD, we've mentioned the DVD quite a lot during this podcast recording. There's a fake DVD commentary. You're very familiar with commentaries, having done some for like He-Man and Ghostbusters and so on and so forth. Real Ghostbusters. The main actors do nothing but fight. So it's like Ben Stiller and the rest of them like just kicking off. And they claim to hate each other. And they storm out 45 minutes in and just replace it with the commentary to There's Something About Mary. To actually find the proper commentary, it's like a hidden as an Easter egg.
That's brilliant.
I would love to listen to that. I've listened to a few amazing no one really listens to anymore, but I remember when DVDs first came out, I used to love listening to commentaries. The one for The Thing with John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, they just grab a glass of whiskey, bottle of whiskey, they drink it. It's a brilliant one.
I remember, was it Adam and Joe used to play clips from, I think it was Conan the Barbarian with Arnie Schwarzenegger, and he's just like, ha ha, look at this, look at the muscle, look, it's me, he's in trouble now, look at him, it's just a lot of that. It's so good.
Well, on the special features for the DVD, like there's again, you guys were involved in like creating the DVD menus and whatnot. We used to work for Cheerful Scout. Yeah. There's a little Globo Gym logo at the bottom, and if you click on that, it's White Goodman talking about the Easter eggs on the DVD, and he says like every time if you press like a button when he snaps his fingers in the film, there's an Easter egg. So it's like a really like convoluted way of doing it. Apparently there's like a bunch of deleted scenes. There's one when he first gets into the tanning bed, the one when he sends the lawyer out of his office while motioning for his team to leave the pub, and then when he does another one with Michelle when they're at the porch. So all those deleted scenes kind of get shown during those bits of the film. So there you go.
It's funny, when I was watching the sunbed scene, I thought the scene was going to go on, if you know what I mean. He gets in the sunbed and then it cuts to the next scene. I thought that felt like something was missing there. So yeah, that makes sense.
Go check out those deleted scenes.
Smith's got the DVD.
There's a couple more to go. So one more, like Christine Taylor, you might notice Average Joe, they have their uniform. Well, they get the first uniforms, which is the BSDM or whatever the word is for it. Then they get the real ones, like the yellow ones. Apparently Christine Taylor was so unhappy with the jogging bottoms that they all wear, she insisted she had to wear shorts because they were unflattering to her words. So you may notice she's the only one wearing shorts and showing off her little leggies. So there you go.
Okay.
Oh, right, there you go.
And then the final bit of trivia. So I mentioned this to you guys whilst we were watching the film. There's a film called Heavyweights, which was a Disney film created in like the mid-90s, when Ben Stiller wasn't really that well known, but his dad was obviously super famous, was in Seinfeld, all stuff like that. And essentially, Ben Stiller plays the same character. He plays this guy who is... Essentially, Heavyweights is about like a fat camp that kids get sent to and have like loads of fun there. But Ben Stiller's character takes over this like fat camp and turns it into like a training camp. And he's like a super keen gym guy. And it's like they feel like it's almost a continuation of that character. And I watched Heavyweights for the first time maybe like 6 months ago. And honestly, it's too much of a coincidence. Those characters are very, very similar. So if you get a chance, again, I don't think Heavyweights is dated quite as well as this film has, but it's an interesting watch just to see that
Ben
character.
Stiller
really.
as that
So there you go. And that's the end of Nige's trivia.
Nige's trivia. Very good. This could be interesting.
Yeah.
What do we think of this film? 20 years on since it came out.
Well, Smith, you are the master.
You are the last
I'm the
dragon,
master. Okay.
You own this on DVD. None of us do.
Well, yeah, I do.
You got one up on us.
I saw this at the cinema. I bought it on DVD. I used to love this film, a lot. Like it was one of those films from the early 90s that I probably watched.
He's humping it right now.
Too much. Wedding Crashers, Old School, Dodgeball. These three films used to almost be on rotation a little bit. However, I definitely got fatigued of like those sort of films after a while, and it's just like felt like our generation were like caught up in this kind of early noughties sort of comedy era. But
he's calling everyone from our generation a moron, right?
Something like that. So I guess I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it going back and watching it some like 5-6 years later, but like in truth I just really enjoyed watching that again. I thought we've just gone through that whole podcast and I don't think we've really said anything negative for what that film is. I think, all right, some people might not necessarily like it because of the goofball kind of style it is, and I totally understand why, but for me it does exactly what I want that sort of film to do. Ben Stiller's amazing in it. I think he elevates it massively. Like for me, every time he's on screen I'm laughing, even just his wide eyes and his little looks left and right, and like you say, that kind of like juxtaposition with Vince Vaughn's character is played so well. So yeah, it's funny, it's silly, I root for them. I think it's directed well, it's written well. I think some things are probably a little bit dated. I think the ending, with the whole lesbian kind of thing that they play on, I know what you mean. It's a bit odd. Like they probably could have wrapped it up slightly better because they almost go into, I don't know if you guys seen basketball. They almost go.
Love basketball.
They almost go into that silliness, which I don't think.
Well, they kiss at the end of basketball.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
So it almost goes into that, but I don't think Dodgeball is quite on that kind of level of humour, as in like that kind of
almost
silliness.
Stupidity.
Stupidity. So it feels like it goes there. But anyway, like. So how do I score it? It's really hard with comedy, isn't it?
Well, no, it's even difficult when you've said barely nothing.
No,
is it funny? I suppose
for me, it is really funny, and like obviously we did Happy Gilmore on the podcast. I know you guys really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that film, but for me, this film like is so much better than it. It is so much funnier than it. I feel like. The fact that it's Ben Stiller and not Adam Sandler elevates it humongously for me. Anything with Adam Sandler is, apart from the straight ones, I've got to say, like Happy Gilmore does the job for me, but this does so much more. So
it's all in the hips.
It is not all in the hips. It's all.
Carl Weathers in. How can you not like Happy Gilmore?
I didn't say I didn't like it.
No, I'm joking.
I just said compared to this, I feel like Dodgeball is better. So, God, is this too high? I don't know.
Just do it, Smith.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Jesus Christ.
Is that it? It feels too high, but
Smith, like if you've said nothing, like I've got to rate it next. Possibly.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I don't. Yeah, well, I'm going into it, aren't I? So I don't think you rated
second review rate up 9 out of 10.
No, I don't think. I don't.
It's
think,
like 4 words.
I don't think you rated it too highly. I'm having trouble.
You start with what it's worth and you try and find ways to bring it down.
I think for me, the only way I can criticise it is I think you can have too much of a good thing, like a nice Mars bar or something. It's wait.
Have you dipped it in Etox special sauce?
You know about my special sauce.
You like some Mars bar?
No, I think that thing of where, like Smith said, even when he's in his youth and he had his blonde highlights, he was watching this. He was watching this film over and over again, kind of thing, because it is Moorish. It's like I could watch this again.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's like I'll put it on again. Let's have another laugh.
It's a bit like Elf. Like too much.
But yeah, that's the thing. I think for me, watching this maybe every 10 years is just ideal.
Yeah.
Watching it every maybe 2, because even though I knew quite a few of the jokes, even though I've not seen it in, like I say, probably 20 years, something like that, I still knew what was coming on certain things, and it still made me laugh because of the delivery and because of the acting, because it's really funny. It really is. Like it was one of those where I've said I wish I'd seen it at the cinema. There are certain films I've said before I saw at the cinema that I was belly laughing at. One was Wedding Crashers, and one was Borat.
Yeah.
That was
when I saw this at the cinema, man, like the whole cinema was like, and maybe that's you know.
Well, no, that does help. Like I was going to say, for Wedding Crashers and Boy, it was a packed out cinema, and we were all in on everything that was happening. And I can imagine if we'd seen Dodgeball, it would have been the same thing. So, you know, I don't know if that plays into your rating as well. Not that I disparage your rating in any way. It's like, you know, do you have that love of your cinema experience of it? Does that play a part?
It always has. I think we've done it in previous ones.
Yeah.
You and I have certainly said it.
No, definitely.
Etok did his like, oh, I'm going to like America or Canada or wherever the fuck it was, and saw every film under the sun.
Canada 89. Come on, man. Don't make me repeat the story. No, but I think it's really difficult to fault this movie, but I can't give it a 10 because it's not the. It sounds weird. It's not the kind of movie I'd give a 10 for.
Yeah.
But if we did films by genre, this would be. I would say this would probably be like 9 out of 10 comedy.
If it hits what it's trying to achieve, it's almost faultless.
And it really is pretty fucking faultless. But I'm gonna go for an 8 out of 10. I think for me that's. But bear in mind, it's an 8 out of 10, but with I can't think of any faults except for the bloody kiss at the end. I'd say it's almost like a begrudging 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's certainly not.
As in, I want to give it more, but I can't go like, oh, it's not Once Upon a Time in the West.
No,
I wouldn't compare it to something like that though.
No, but you understand what I'm saying. It's
I kind of have to, because like, bear in mind, we're reviewing all films. We haven't set this criteria. It's like, how good is this film based on its genre? It's like, how good is this film compared to all?
But if I gave it a 9, but then like one of my 8s is like, I don't know, like a really fantastic film like Superman or something, like really like.
No, but the way I always say it's like,
do you know what I mean? But
the
genre, like you say, the genre, like I would say Dodgeball of its genre is one of the funniest comedies I've ever seen.
I would say, like, for me, ratings always come like kind of from the heart, and it's like whatever you feel like it's coming, go do it. You know, say it. You know, I think the longer you sit there going, should I have given it a 9? Is not. I say do it, man. You've done it. 8 over here. None.
So over to me, yeah. So I just found out, you know what? Right, I didn't know this before. I just said it in part of the trivia. Coming. In 2005, Ben Stiller was nominated for a lovely award for his performances in Along Came Polly, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy, Envy, which I've never heard of, Starsky and Hutch, and this.
Wow.
A Razzie for Worst Actor.
No way.
Yeah, which I'm very surprised about. I'm very harsh.
That's shit, because
Razzie gives awards for serious, like
Sylvester Stallone
or
gets it every year.
Catwoman. Catwoman, yeah.
But yeah, like for me, this film, I think this film definitely benefited from the fact we watched it together.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact we were all chuckling along to each other. Like, for the love of the LOL, laughing out loud, we probably chuckled out loud to this film certainly more than I have for a film in a long time, which is a good sign, certainly. I think there are flaws in this film. I do think that, I think I said whilst we were watching it, Christine Taylor sometimes is a little bit wooden, sometimes it's a bit overblown, there's a lot of reliance on like silly cameos, but I mean, it's not a film that takes itself seriously, and at no point does it ask you to take it seriously, and that's fine. I think it's one of the films that I most look forward to watching, in the sense of I knew it was going to be an easy watch, and it's a funny watch, and it's just a really enjoyable film. And I don't know whether or not, if you're younger and you've never seen this film, you'll get as much from it as we will, but I don't care, because I watched it tonight and I enjoyed it. But I'm probably going to fall in a very similar camp to Etok, in the sense, for me, it's probably an 8 out of 10 film. I don't think it's as good as Happy Gilmore. I don't think it's as good as, say, like Airplane or even like Animal House, but it is a really solid film. But I remember, like earlier today, I was speaking to a guy in my office who's a big film fan. I kind of said, watching Dodgeball tonight. And he kind of rolled his eyes. And you look on IMDb, it's got like a mid 6, 6.5, 6.7, whatever. You look at the critical reviews about the time, there was a lot of like, I don't know, 3 stars, like 6 out of 10, that kind of thing. I do think it's better than that. I think it's slightly smarter than that in a, like, it's just a film of its time that works really well. It chugs along. There's no point where the film drags. There's not like random exposition. There's not random like, there's a little bit of like a subplot of like Justin Long, girlfriend, Steve the pirate, but it's so quick and it just feeds into the overall like character of the film. Not necessarily the characters being developed, but just the overall character of the film. And I think it just works really well. And again, I have a huge soft spot for that kind of like Karate Kid tournament style. Let's just move through things. Like, as I mentioned, the kind of the Warriors, you have these different gangs. And it does move through that very quickly, but it doesn't harm the film at all. It's just a funny film that I think you could sit down and enjoy. And like you say, you won't want to watch it every week. You wouldn't even want to watch it every couple of years. But every now and again, go back and revisit and be like, you know what? They just did a really good job of this.
Nicely said. And guys, what do you think? Dodgeball, the true underdog story. It says everything on the tin, doesn't it? Get in touch. Email us at offradarpod@gmail.com. X us. Tweet us. Off radar.
Smith's microphone just went flaccid.
It just went a bit floppy.
Floppy Smith.
Get in touch. Let us know what you think of Dodgeball. Give us another film to watch. And we'll speak to you next time, hopefully in person.
Don't forget those 5Ds. Do listen to our podcast.
5Ds,
Definitely listen to our podcast. Download our podcast.
Defecate before listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
and drink some of our podcast.
Some alcohol before our podcast. Otherwise, it'll be painful.
And dodge.
Do you fancy sending us a film to review or letting us know your thoughts on a film that we have discussed? All of your comments will be read out in our end of season leaderboard episode. Email us on offradarpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at offradarpodcast. Message us on Facebook. All links and info in the description down below.
Do it! Do it!